Welcome to the Off the Fritz podcast, honest conversations that explore life with intention.
Our podcast is a collection of honest stories and conversations with people who have learned and are continuing to learn to live with direction and intention, even when life gets crazy.
Our hope is that this podcast will inspire you and provide you the tools to start living with more intention and a sense of possibility and purpose. Hey, everybody.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to this conversation we have with our friends Ryan and Beth Kelly. Ryan and Beth have the largest YouTube mountain biking channel called the Loam Ranger. And I think there's a real mystery surrounding how do you make it on YouTube? Like, is this your full-time gig? Do you actually, how do you make
a living riding a mountain bike on
doing
YouTube?
What you love.
And that's a good gig if you can get it. Yeah. But it's hard work, though, as we learn.
Mm-hmm.
Very hard work. It's not by accident. Although there is an element of that. When we talk about videos going viral and like all this stuff that me being a horrible geek doesn't understand. But really fun people. We've known them for a long, long time.
Yeah.
And,
I know you're going to enjoy this conversation because we really dig in there as to just Ryan and Beth's passion for mountain biking and a passion to really go and get the life that they wanted for themselves and as a family. And so they moved from Edmonton to Canmore and off they went just with huge aspirations for this life that they wanted to live.
Yep.
And it happened with a lot of hard work and always a little bit of strike of luck for what they're doing, and they got big dreams for where they're headed after this part too.
I actually love that, where it's like they've kind of arrived and now they're already setting a course for what's next.
Yeah.
And I think that's very, very cool, very wise as well. But anyway, really, to me, a very interesting conversation with people that we really appreciate and have a lot of fun with. So there's a layer of that for us as well. But I hope you guys enjoy it. Well, hey guys, it's good to see you. We actually had the opportunity to see you not too long ago, but this is fun to do it in this kind of context with a bit of a different style. The last time we were hanging out, we were in the mountains mountain biking, which I'll be honest, rekindled some great love. Not my love for you, but my love for mountain biking.
I was hoping it was for us.
Well, that was nice too, but it was super fun. So. So thanks for taking us out. And it was also funny to see you guys getting recognized all over the trail, which was also funny. It was kind of unique. Yeah. So hey, why don't you let people know why you're getting recognized on the trail as a starting point?
Yeah, we are famous in an extraordinarily select few number of places. Pretty much wherever there's like a lot of mountain biking happening, we might get recognized. And that's because we run a mountain biking YouTube channel. It's what we do full time for our living, and it's called Loam Ranger channel. And it's taken us all across the world, and it's brought us out here to the mountains, and it's been a really amazing and insane journey so far. So no complaints.
Well, and that's what we're here to talk about because we love your story and we find it fascinating, and I think we really resonate with you and Beth as like years behind you with the starting our business. We're just diving into going, hey, we want our jobs to be a reflection of what we love, jobs to be aligned with our values and who we are as people. And that's why we dove into Fritz Tiny Homes. But tell us, give us the story. How did you choose mountain biking? Ryan, you are a man of many talents.
You're a huge nerd, and you're really smart and good at lots of different things.
We know Ryan the musician, Ryan the coffee roaster, Ryan the photographer, all of these different things.
Why biking?
Why biking?
Yeah, I was actually thinking about this today. I was like, how did we get into running a mountain bike YouTube channel? And I mean, but really our story starts way further back than that. When I think about trying, going out on our own and starting our own business, it really started with Ryan and Beth Photographers. And that was, for us, was okay, we don't want to work kind of, I guess, a regular job, if you will, a 9-to-5, because we want, more control over our schedule, and we want to be able to spend more time with our family. Yep. One of the things for me is I had worked at a daycare, and I was had taken care of other people's kids, and I was I don't want to send my kids to a daycare while I work all day. I actually want to find a way to involve our family more in our lives. So we started with Ryan and Beth Photographers, and somehow we started a YouTube channel along the way, but I'll let you jump in.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you want to start at the Loam Ranger channel or go back to when we quit our regular jobs.
Start there, man.
If it matters or not.
Start there, yeah.
But Yeah, I mean, this isn't like, I probably shouldn't be saying this, but like all throughout school, like I knew that most of the school that the stuff I was learning in school wasn't really going to apply to me all that much, because I'm like, I'm not going to go to some normal job. I'm going to run my own business. My dad ran his own and still runs his own business, and that's probably a big part of why I lean towards that. But I always knew that I didn't want to really work for somebody else. I never really liked the thought of that. It's always made me very uneasy. And I like doing creative things as much and as often as possible. And so I wanted to kind of meld everything together and to be able to pay the bills and be really excited when I got up most mornings. You can't say every morning because nobody's excited every single morning. But most mornings I can get up and be like, oh, I have this cool idea, and I have all today to go and try and make that idea a reality. And so we had planned for that. I was like, I'd like to take photography full time. In a couple of years. This is like, what, I don't know, probably 14 years ago or something like that. We had just gotten married. We'd made a rough plan, and lots and lots of people make these rough plans where they're working in their regular stable job and they go, let's say 2 years from now, I'm going to quit that job and I'm going to start doing what I want to do. And a lot of people never get to that end point where they actually quit the stable job and go. But on January 2nd, 2010 or 2009, I got laid off, and we had just had Casey, our firstborn, and we had a decision to make. Like, okay, do I go and find another regular job and get stuck in that, or do we flip the switch right now and then see what we can do? And for better or for worse, now for better, but for a while it's probably for worse. We chose okay, let's start a photography business from nothing. And up until that point, I'm taking pictures of like fence posts and like horses in the distance. Like, I had no portfolio. I had barely any experience.
You liked taking photos.
I liked taking photos. But that's where we started and just went really hard at it. And so we did the photography thing for a long time. And that ended up being commercial photography. And that's, how we've worked together in the past. Shooting really high-end staircases, amazing stuff. And then it's always kind of a journey of just trying to mesh the time that I spend during the day and paying the bills and being as creative as possible. And so I felt that with photography, I can get pretty close to that. But then I saw this thing on YouTube where somebody had this amazing camera setup and they were flying down the trail, and I'd never seen anything like it. And because of my photographer, videographer brain, I thought I could do that. And I could probably even do it better too, maybe. And then what if I could make mountain biking? I don't think there was any
maybe there. You're maybe
not
maybe. New, right? You're confident.
Well, yeah. If I could make a go at this, and there's really not many other people, there was like 3 or 4 other people out there doing it at the time, that would be even closer to my ideal. Because I'm being creative, I'm filming stuff, I'm getting to be nerdy, and mountain biking, which has been a lifelong passion of mine. And that lined up well enough to me to start going after it.
Right on. So, hey, I was going to ask a question. Actually, I feel like as I'm about to ask it, maybe it's a stupid question. But you got laid off. And I ask it because we've been talking to people who, it seems like a lot of people have this catalyst that has pushed them to that point where they were willing to take that step. And for you, it was getting laid off. Yep. For some other people we've talked to, it was COVID. Now, if you could be like introspective and know yourself, do you think that you would have got around to this had that layoff not happened?
Well, that's the thing, and I kind of touched on that a little bit. One thing I can say we can never say for sure one way or the other, that kind of thing. But what I can say is, as I got better at the job I was in, and it wasn't anything, spectacular. I was delivering water, like the big 50-pound bottles. Okay. So I was in great shape. Yeah. But the thing was, I got really good at the job. When I first started, it would take all day to get 3/4 of the way through the list of deliveries I had. But then a year or two in, I could do all of that before noon. And so all of a sudden, I was going back to the shop and being like, well, I'm done. And then they're like, well, I guess do all this work instead. And the work sucked. It was like sweeping up and like doing things I really didn't want to do. And then I would get paid the same at the end of the day as I did before when I was spending all day trying to get the deliveries done. And so that it really hit me hard that in these types of jobs, these hourly jobs, it really doesn't matter how good you get at it. You just have to like sit there and give them 8 hours of your life every day, no matter how good you get at it. For the most part, like you'll get little raises here and there, but that really did not sit well with me. Mm-hmm. I want to be able to like do something really great and be able to take 80% of the rest of the day off and get paid the same, right. Or just keep going and doing more things throughout the day that can really push what I want to see happen forward.
Right.
So I had that very strong sense, and it was really starting to bother me. And so I'm sure something would have happened at some
Eventually,
point, but
okay.
It was a kick in the butt that we needed. Yeah.
Well, and I asked that question based on that comment where I think a lot, like you'd said, like a lot of people feel this way, but how many people actually do something about it? And that's just something, sometimes there's a catalyst that like kind of forces our hand, I suppose. And that's like, at the time that might be really hard and that might be really uncomfortable, but then you look back on it, it's like, oh, that like saved me, right? But and then I guess it's like, I would hope that we don't all need that catalyst. I hope that it's, we would all just take that step because we know where it's going to head. And I just sometimes want to, I don't know, I'm looking forward to talking to lots of people and hearing their stories of what forced them to take that step, whether it was internal or external. And I think that's a kind of fascinating, that first step is kind of, in some ways, one of the most fascinating parts of that story. It's interesting to me,
totally.
right? So
what was the first step then for you guys now with the Loam Ranger? How did you do this? So you started, you're like, I'm going to have a mountain biking channel. Obviously at this point you had a lot of understanding of like the tech and that side of it, and you're kind of blending your skill set there with then your mountain biking world. And I remember like those days when I was there, you were taking photos of these amazing staircases in Edmonton for the job that we were doing before, and you guys were talking a lot about, I think we need to move to Canmore in order to really do this. Take us down that journey.
Yeah, I mean, with the Loam Ranger channel, it's a tricky thing running a mountain bike channel in the middle of the Alberta prairies. It doesn't line up super well.
Yeah, we found ourselves traveling a ton, and while we like traveling, and it's one of those things where travel sounds super fun, but the more you do it...
And for work, it's different, yeah.
The more you realize you're like, oh, I actually like being at home. At least that's what happened for us.
Yeah.
And it also just made our jobs more challenging. The fact that, sometimes it'd be like, oh, we just need this clip to finish off this video, but we're in the middle of Edmonton and we can't get it unless we drive, 3.5 hours to Canmore minimum.
And then book a hotel night, stay, and then, like you're spending probably like 9-10 hours of just like non-filming stuff to get this one quick little clip, right? And so for us being able to step out the door and ride down the street to some amazing trails, personally, obviously that's amazing. We love that so much. But then professionally, oh man, it just streamlined things so much and opened up lots of opportunities. Yeah. And we're really close to a lot of great places in BC too. Mm-hmm. Like we're an hour and a half in all these different directions from all this great mountain biking. So that was a big part of it as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I believe early in now tell me if I'm wrong, but early in your journey with the YouTube channel, there was a video that really hit.
Went viral, right?
Yep.
Yep. How did...
For sure.
Tell us about that.
Yeah, there was... So we had planned a lot of things going into this, and we ended up producing this like pretty high production video and all of that. And so that was one thing that we did. It didn't get a lot of views, but then we said, okay, we're going to go to Whistler. We're going to drop some cash to be out there, to be able to ride, which was a big deal because we did not have a lot of cash back then at all.
And I wasn't even really biking at that point.
No, you weren't even on the channel then.
I wasn't on the channel. I did a small amount of biking. So.
Yeah. So we went there and I said, okay, let's go and film as many trails as possible and then come home, release all those. Anytime somebody puts out Whistler videos, they always do well, is what I noticed on YouTube. And so I said, this will be a great way to get going. And so I filmed a ton of different trails. And that video that went viral, it's a trail called Blue Velvet. It's a pretty fun blue flow trail, which means there's not a lot of techie routes and steep stuff. It's more like, how would you put it? It's like a roller coaster ride, basically. Lots of jumps and not so much drops, but like big berms and stuff. And so I had filmed that, and I did it in the easiest, most simple way possible, where I just turned on a GoPro, rode the track, and then turned it off again. Like we were not doing high production quality on this.
And I was just going to say, for people who don't mountain bike, mountain bike trails are rated in the same way as ski trails are rated.
Yeah.
So you've got your green, blue, black, double black,
Yeah.
etc.
So it wasn't it wasn't like some like crazy mad trail where I'm doing some 40-foot drop.
You're not blowing anybody's
It was just
mind
out
with
riding.
how you're riding it. Per se.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but the way that I filmed it, and I was using a electronic 3-axis gimbal with a GoPro on, and at the time that was really rare. And so to be able to have that sense of speed that you got from that camera setup, I think blew a lot of people's minds.
Right.
And so for whatever reason, the almighty YouTube algorithm decided to spread it out. And it really is that, like, nobody knows what's going on behind the scenes of YouTube. It decided to just test some audiences. It just put it out to this audience over here to see what would happen. And the click-through rate was through the roof. The thumbnail was really good, which is that initial image you see on a video. It was me going up to this big wooden wall ride, and it must have looked interesting enough. And tons of those people watched. So YouTube decides to try a different group of people, and tons of those people watched. And it's just been going nuts for the last almost 5 years. I think it's at like 18 million views-ish.
Wow.
And it won't stop.
And it's still going.
Year over year, it's still like the highest viewed video on our channel.
So that one
every year.
video, like, what does that do to your overall, livelihood, I suppose? Like, what is that like? That must like have such a trickle down effect, or that must be a catalyst to bring lots of people there. Like, what does that mean for you guys that went off?
Well, what it means, I mean, it means lots of different things in the YouTube realm. When you have one video that goes, it doesn't mean that YouTube will always push out your videos more, but it's more likely to. And so if you get good click-through rates, YouTube, the algorithm goes, maybe we'll try some more people again with this channel and see if it catches. So that does help. Another big one is that we were really trying to monetize the channel. And so you need a certain number of subscribers and views and subscribers and watch time hours.
Right.
And having that video go, we were able to monetize the channel really fast, and we were able to start making income from it month over month. And funny enough, like being a photographer, like your income is all over the place all the time. And so this YouTube income that started coming in was the most consistent we've ever had in our lives, which is a strange thing to think, like a YouTube channel, right?
That's super funny, because we were actually talking before we got on. I was like, we should ask him about what it's like to go from the world of like steady income to like what we believed was this erratic YouTube social media income. Oh. So apparently we were way off on that.
Way off.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have the most stable income we've ever had
by far, hands down,
since going full time on our YouTube channel.
Yeah. Yeah. The nice thing is that as you build up that repertoire of videos, this back catalog, those are continuously seen, especially when it's things like this specific trail or this GoPro review. Mm-hmm. They're called like evergreen videos because they last forever. And you'll always get consistent views on, well, maybe not consistent, but there's views trickling in all the time. And so, you might have one video that spikes that you put out last week, and that's good, but there's always sort of this baseline in the background, and it very rarely dips below a certain mark. And so we could not put out a video for a month, and we know that our income from that end of it will stay pretty consistent, which is very, very nice.
So if you, I'm just going to throw arbitrary numbers here, but let's say you have 6 videos in the background that are like kind of paying the bills. If you put out another successful video that ends up, now you have 7, if you put another one, 8, does that can you grow that kind of evergreen stable of videos to like increase kind of your income that way? Does it work like that, or is it?
Yep.
Yeah. So that's.
I mean, it's so all over the place, and you never know what's going to happen with the algorithm. It's generally quite terrifying working with it, but for the most part, yeah, you put out a video that does well. And sometimes things take off 6 months down the line. Like we did a garage makeover kind of thing for mountain bikers, and we put that out, and it was like it did okay. Mm-hmm. And then I think the whole COVID thing and people wanting to work on their garage hit, and that video spiked, and it's been doing great ever since. And so you never really know what's going to happen, but yeah, it's worked out well enough.
So Beth, you in the beginning, you were mountain bike riding and stuff, but as of late, I've really seen you really get into this and become a key part of this journey with Ryan. And I love watching you guys as a couple and you professionally just flourish. How did that come to be?
Thanks. That's really kind. Nice to hear. I sometimes I'm like, how did I get into this? But I've always, I've always been like into just sports in general, skateboarded, skied, and all that kind of stuff as a kid and teenager. So mountain biking wasn't like a big leap for me to get into. Like, yeah. And Ryan just kind of like, in some cases, you definitely dragged me along. Like, hey, I need someone to come and shoot this. And because I was the other half of our photography business, I had enough skill to help shoot and do video for the mountain bike stuff. And so I think that was more what kind of brought me into it, as I started biking more and more, because I had to get to these locations.
Yeah, you had to get to the spot.
I had to get to the spot where I had to film. So it was like it was self-preservation, I guess you could say. I had to learn quickly.
Yeah.
But I love it. Like, I love the adventure of it. And I mean, I wouldn't want to miss out on the fun anytime there's a trip planned, or just, biking in general. I just love it. So, yeah. Yeah,
she's always been keen, for sure, on that kind of thing. Like, for our honeymoon, this was how many years have we been married? 14? Yeah. I pitched to her that we go to Whistler Mountain Bike Park for our honeymoon, and she didn't even know what that meant. And she was like, yeah, that sounds good. She was pretty chill. And I bought a bike for her off of eBay, and there we were, Whistler Mountain for our honeymoon, and she's like flipping over her bars and crying.
I did cry, but it was also like, it was totally up my alley to do something like that, so it was fun.
She says that now.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I mean, Ryan, I know we've talked a little bit about this, like what sets your channel apart, and it's like, you know, the other YouTube channels, and I'm not experiencing this, but you say they're like kind of these bros just like throwing down huge stuff. And I mean, I think it's cool. It's like a little more accessible to see, you know, you're a good rider, but then to see like Beth just like kind of learning to ride and becoming proficient, becoming good, like kind of in front of people's eyes. And then when you throw your kids into the mix, it's like all of a sudden that like the broadness of your story is just, it's unique that way. And it's really cool. So I think that's a neat thing. So I mean, how was that bringing your kids into this story?
Yeah, I mean, going back to what you said before, like as far as the difference between our channel and other channels, at the beginning, it wasn't the difference between our channel and other channels. It's that there weren't any other channels.
Oh, okay.
It was like us and just a couple of other people. And then so it was, you know, me, goofball, going down the trail, doing my best not to die on a bike. And you had that side of it, and me telling the story of trying to get better as a biker. And then the only other side of it was the pros, with their super highly produced videos, chucking themselves off of cliffs, the whole Red Bull lifestyle going on. And so that was it. Now there are professional riders who do have great YouTube channels, and they're sort of blending both, which is really cool to see. But yeah, so that journey of like growth and just trying to get better and being real about it, that was very, very new in the mountain bike realm just 5 years ago. And so we've just kept doing that with Beth coming on, and then with the kids joining in. People really like to see that. And because mountain biking has exploded again, mountain bike tends to go up and down with popularity, but it's definitely the most popular it's ever been at the moment, for most kind of numbers. And so that means there's so many more women involved.
Yeah.
There's so many more people of color involved, which before, honestly, it's just a bunch of white dudes in the lineup at Whistler. And now it's women, it's people of color, it's kids.
Yeah.
It's been really, really cool to see what's happened over the last just 4 or 5 years. And so people want to see more content, not just from the dudes doing backflips, right? And so we kind of came on at the right time.
Cool.
Basically. Right time, right place.
Yeah. Have your kids always wanted to be on camera? How have you navigated that as a family?
I don't know if they necessarily just always wanted to be on camera. They're just used to it because we've always just had big cameras around all the time. Like, we get a new camera in and we're going to take photos of the family. We got to test out the camera and make sure it's all working right. And we just want to take photos of our family anyways. And so their entire lives, they've had cameras around. So it was a very easy thing for them to be on camera, for sure.
Yeah, and I mean, they both really love biking. Probably Casey more than Tom, but they both, Tom really likes it too. So I think like the hardest part to navigate has just been like mixing the work and the family side of it, as far as like, it's fun to just go out as a family and bike, but then we get offered to like, oh, can you come here and make a video at our bike park with your family? which is really fun. But then we have to go, okay, kids, we are doing this and it's gonna be fun, but we also have to do work as well. And so that, like, finding that balance at times can be tricky because they're kids and they get tired and they're like, I don't feel like working.
Yeah, exactly.
Because I'm a child.
But what we have done, we always pay them too. We're like, okay, so we're going to pay you because, like, we're getting paid, you should get paid. And then along with that comes those responsibilities of working. And so that they've been totally okay with. Like, yeah, I'm doing a job.
Yeah.
This is what I'm doing for 2 hours today or whatever.
Yeah.
We don't work them to the bone or anything. All right.
They do like it and look forward to it. But it definitely, there is that balance of, like, being a parent and also bringing your kids into your job. It's not always easy, which I'm sure you guys have experienced as well.
And a tricky thing with that, and you guys probably have experienced that more now as you're showing your personal lives in, on Instagram, which you guys do such a great job of, by the way. Like, I watch every single one of those stories. It's tricky because when it's not just us going to a bike park to go have fun at the bike park, a lot of times we're going, especially at the beginning, when there's no way that we could have afforded to go with 4 people to Whistler. It would have just been way too expensive. And even now, like, Whistler's super expensive. And so we're there, but we're there to work, but also fun because our work is supposed to be showing us having fun. And it is fun, but it's work. It's a very confusing thing for us, let alone the kids, right? So,
well, tricky. I can resonate with that a bit. Like, the journey for us with this, obviously, you guys know, like, part of the whole goal in starting Fritz Tiny Homes was to be able to work from home and to set our family up for a lifestyle that aligns with where we want to go and who we want to be. And we wanted to show our kids, dad and mom working from home and show them, like, our roles in that and how we work together as a team, and that this business is both of ours together. We're co-owners in this, and mom has this role, dad has this role, and we can step in and merge that and the hard times and the hard work and all of that. And yet at the same time, I found it interesting transitioning from, like, well, I guess, quote unquote, corporate work to home work. It's taken a bit for the kids to understand that, where before Kev would leave and he was like, he left at 7 a.m, he was home 6 p.m. after the commute. So to them, dad was at work. Where now dad's at home. And it's taken
and at work.
Where almost for a bit there, like, they really didn't like what we were doing.
They resented me working all the time.
Yeah.
I was like, I always worked all the time. You're just watching me now, right? And, like, for the kid to
try to
come to grips
but you're
with
there,
that, right?
Yeah.
You're physically present there, but during certain hours, like, that's it.
Yeah, and in the past, when
which is hard for everybody.
Yeah, when I was physically present, I was present as dad. Now, when I'm physically present, I'm present as I'm at work, and then I'm present as dad later. And for kids, it's hard for them to make that distinction. So we found there's a little bit. Of,
maybe you need Maybe we both need, like, literally 2 different colored
hats. Yeah, it's like you got the work uniform on. Like, yeah, exactly. So don't ask for dad when this hat's on. Yeah, absolutely.
But they're coming to understand it, and
they
I think so much of our experiences in drawing them into what we're doing is to really help them to understand why. It's like, this is what this looks like, and this is why. This is why we're doing this, or this is why mommy's on her phone right now, because, hey, do you want to see this part of us? And I think for Kin one time, because our kids aren't on social media, and it's not like
they're young,
and we don't let them to do all of that. And I realized that I hadn't really shown them Instagram, and I showed Kin, and I said, hey, here's our page. Take a look. And he just started scrolling through, and wow, mom, that's so cool. And, like, look at that video. And him seeing the us this way, he got it. He understood a bit more, and it was more meaningful to him. And so I think it's all about, like, bringing the kids in and really explaining the why behind.
Right.
And acknowledging the hard.
And they get to see things that they wouldn't normally see. I mean, they've watched us work super hard, whereas before they said, take my word for it. Then when I left in the morning, I was out working super hard, right? And I mean, with your kids, and, like, they're getting paid. They're going to work already as young kids. They're getting paid. It's like, no, I got a job to do. Do it well and get paid, right? Like, there's lessons to be learned.
Yeah. For sure. And, I think there's so many sides to this, but in my opinion, anyways, everybody wants their kids to be independent, and they want them to do what they love when they grow up, and put weight into that side of things, and not just do something that they hate just because it pays the bills. I think the very best way to actually help make that happen is to do it yourself. It's easier said than done, obviously, but just having that example for them to actually see is massive for them, for sure.
Yeah. It opens up, like, so I came from a family that, was not a business family. My mom was a mom who looked after a whole bunch of kids, and my dad was a school teacher. So the idea of going into business was so much more foreign to me. And there was just this pull for me that managed to outweigh maybe my lack of experience, if you will, right?
Nice.
My kids will have maybe way broader perspectives in that context than I was ever given, just by nature of their differing experiences, right? So, and obviously we all hope to give our kids, well, everything, I guess, as far as experiences, that we can, everything we can possibly offer them, right? So it's exciting to me. Honestly, it's exciting to me when I see my kids win. It's exciting when I see them fail, because I'm like, oh yeah, they're learning so much right now. And so,
totally.
and for us to see us win and fail, they're learning the same things, right? So the more they see of us, the more they learn, I think, just full stop.
Yep. Agreed. Yeah, and I feel like I swing done. I feel like I swing pretty far in that direction, maybe too far sometimes, where it's like, I'll watch them like trip and get hurt. I'm like, I don't rush over and be like, oh my goodness, oh no. I go, well, you probably learned from that. Probably won't do that again.
Yeah, we're on the same page. Actually, Hudson, our second oldest boy, he ate it pretty hard on his bike, and he was bleeding again. And that night he was laying in bed, and he's like, you know what, Dad? I actually don't mind crashing that much on my bike, because I think I get way better every time. And I'm like, you sound like you're saying that just for me. But he wasn't. He's not that nice. He wouldn't do it, right? But
yeah. That's great.
Yeah, it sounded like this was like this after school special, but it was his honest words, right? So I love that stuff.
Yeah.
I love that.
That's great.
What are you guys loving about the transition to moving into the mountains? You've gone from Edmonton and out in the prairies to this to Canmore and Canmore culture, mountain culture.
Yeah, beyond the trails and beyond that. Like, what do you love about being out there?
What do you love about
it? I mean, for me, one of my favorite things is talking to other people and learning about why they live in Canmore, because it is expensive to live in Canmore. There's a pretty high cost of entry, and so, but it's not that you do find wealthy people here, but you also find a lot of people who have sacrificed a lot to be here because they really want
the majority
to be
of people.
here. And I'd say that's the majority. Yeah, that is the majority of people, and it's just so interesting to hear their stories and their reasons why they live here. It's really that's been one of the most inspiring parts.
Yep. That's it doesn't matter if it's a person that just moved here or a person that was born here and still lives here. Every single person had to make it a priority to want to be in this place. And so people have to get creative on that side of it. And so in probably any mountain town, certainly this one, there's just so many different there's so many entrepreneurs here trying to make a go of it, and opening up cafes and art galleries and restaurants, all these different things to try and blend what we try and blend as well, like the artistry and excitement to get up in the morning and living in a place like this. And if you can make all that work somehow, then that's kind of, that's ideal. That's my ideal anyways. As far as living here, it's been fantastic in all the ways that you would hope it would be. And honestly, I haven't found one downside of living here yet. I have nothing negative to say about it.
Well, we do miss our family.
Well, yeah.
That's not
That's a given,
fault.
though, right? That's a given. That's a given. And just for the listeners, Canmore is if Alberta is one province over from BC, and Canmore is right on the line of it's on the Alberta side, but it's really close to the BC border. It's in the mountains, right next to Banff, basically, just down the road from Banff.
Well, out your front door, when
stunning.
we came to visit last month, out your front door are the mountains.
Yeah,
and it was breathtaking.
Yeah.
Well, hey, and that's really cool. That's a hot take, Beth, about what makes that community cool. Because honestly, it's why we want to start this podcast. It's exactly that. The same thing that you might be experiencing in your community. It's we just want to talk to like people like you, who are they're doing something for a reason. You know what I mean? It's like they're not just stumbling along. It's like, well, this is what happened. It's like people who like had to like go to lengths and take like maybe courageous or scary or very purposeful steps to get to where they're going, and they've left the beaten path a little bit. And maybe you've got a whole city full of people like that. Like that's a good time, right? Like that's what we find with the tiny home community. We're finding one of the most exciting things is this group of people. It's like there's no normies in the tiny home community. Like everybody is, you know what I mean?
For sure.
Like everybody is like willing to take a step outside, or else you're not living. So that's pretty neat, actually. That community is made up of people like that. I like that.
Ryan and Beth, what would you say to like a listener who just has something stirring inside them where they're wanting to make the change to a more intentional life, whether that is a job switch or just maybe they want to eat a different way or like whatever. We don't need the long list of examples of those burning things inside of you that you just go like, life's a bit in a rut and I just want to do the thing. What's your advice to them?
Oh boy.
I would say start with your why.
Yeah.
Because for us, so much of what we've chosen to do has always come back to our family, like the four of us. And yeah, from when we started Ryan and Beth Photographers, it was about like being together as a family, being able to spend more time together. And then I think about as the kids went to school, we realized like, oh, we don't want to be wedding photographers because that means we're going to work every weekend and all summer. And so our why was still our family. And so we actually realized, okay, we actually have to switch our job, even though it's like a really amazing job. We gotta make this work differently because our why is still our family. So yeah,
it's really totally. It's just kind of distilling down those things. But yeah, that's the biggest thing. So I think that like you can plan for a destination, like where you want to be in a year or 2 years or whatever. But for me personally, and everybody works differently, of course, for me, it's always been what's happening in the moment needs to line up in a certain way for me. And that's what I've always gone for. And so for me, I need to be creative. I need to be able to create things and have my brain firing on all cylinders a lot of the day. That's just that's my natural state. And
yeah, and that's part of your why as well, I would say.
Exactly.
Back to the why.
And so when I was in other jobs and working for other people, I couldn't do that very much during the day at all. And so that was my main driving focus. It wasn't, I want to get rich 5 years from now or something, or I want to shoot the Olympics or something like that. It was like every day I need to be creative. And that's been a big part of just driving it. I'm a pretty like in the moment person. I'm really bad at planning ahead. I just kind of like follow my nose a little bit with decision making, as long as it sort of lines up with I can hang out with my family, I can be creative, and I can make the choices that I want to make during the day. I don't even know if I answered your question because that's such a hard question to answer.
I'm so sorry, but
because everybody is so different.
Yeah.
But I think that you hit it on the head though. It's understanding your why, and your why drives that. And if you don't know the answer to that, like it's setting intention and setting a trajectory and steering your ship to where you want it to go, right?
And I think Ryan,
and being okay. Sorry, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
And also being okay and knowing full well that it's gonna get really, really hard many, many times throughout the process. That's a big one. And being okay with that. It's okay that things will fail catastrophically. Things have failed pretty hard on our end a number of times over the years, because other interesting doors open up from those failures all the time. I did air quotes for the podcast people around failures. And so that is something that you just need to assume is going to happen. Like things will go badly in many different times, and that's also part of it. I think a lot of times when people are thinking about diving into something like this, they're only thinking about the good parts. But it's good to just kind of have a level head going into something like this, for sure.
And I mean, yeah, on that. So sorry, go ahead if you had something to
No,
say.
I was just going to say I'm really glad I let you talk first because you guys have like eloquently stated pretty much everything I feel about this issue. So there you go. Thank you for that. So
Carry on.
Yeah.
Oh, now I was just thinking like it's really easy to hear someone else's story and just hear how like easy it was or how good it was, but like yeah, like on that note of what you said, like there have been times where it was like really tight for us and we were living like paycheck to paycheck
For years.
and yeah, or times where it was like I don't even know how we're going to pay the rent, and then some job would come in and it would work out, but it wasn't like this magical like life all the time. There's been stressful times and we've had to like bring ourselves back to that. Well, why are we doing this? And it's because we want to get here and we want these things to be part of our life right now.
Yeah. And well, like and I think we were talking about this when you guys were out here, but one really tangible thing that people can work towards is just going from the stats. And we were in this boat. Not a lot of people have the kind of savings that they would necessarily want to have going into something like this, or like changing their career or job. I don't really like the career word, changing what they're doing at the time. But the biggest thing that really kind of like opened this big mental block for us to really start trying stuff was just having $1,000 in savings. And it took a while to get that because we were always, like you said, paycheck to paycheck, job to job. And it was really difficult to do that. But once we just had that little bit of savings, it just seemed like something clicked in our heads and we went, oh, we have even just this little tiny bit of cushion. Let's try some stuff. And that, it was huge. Like that, I don't remember how many years ago that was now, but just saving that $1,000 was massive for our mental state for trying new things and following that different paths.
Well, it's like this.
Probably helped relieve a bit of stress.
Yeah, and I mean, essentially, it's kind of this like little victory, right? Like, you know, it's not an arbitrary victory, but it's just a small victory. It's like, hey, we're gonna go do this thing. What's the first thing we want to do? Let's save $1,000, and it's like that's tangible. You can do it. You can note its success and feel good about that. And I think you maybe build a bit of momentum with that. And it's funny. It's one thing I'm trying to do in this podcast when talking with people, because we're talking with people like you guys who are like way outside of like the ordinary as far as your path right now in life. And we're talking with a lot of people like, you know, people sailing across the world and all this stuff. And it's like, I just really want to bring it home to let people know that it's like, it doesn't matter what your direction is, what your choice is. Like, we're not talking about how to become YouTube sensations here. We're talking about like how to do that thing, that big thing, that little thing, that other thing, whatever it may be. It's like, go out and do that thing for you and for what you want to accomplish and to get to that place in life where you want to be. And I just always want to I feel like I always want to be like, time out to anybody who's listening. It doesn't matter what it is, right? It doesn't have to be big. It doesn't got to make you famous. It's just do that thing that's going to make you happy and give you that contentedness and take you to that place in life, that lifestyle that you want to live. And so I find myself always want to interject that. Yeah.
Absolutely. And it is that daily why that you were talking about, like the big why. Like, why am I doing this? That's such a huge deal. And it's like what we've done throughout the years, things have evolved so much. Like we started out, taking portraits and shooting weddings and that kind of thing, and into commercial photography because we wanted less weekends where we were working, and starting the Loam Ranger channel so that we can go mountain biking more and do something more physical and create some different kind of content. And then now with this new YouTube channel that we've started,
I was just gonna ask, go for it.
It's the continuation of this distillation of what we want to be doing in our daily lives. And the Loam Ranger channel is absolutely amazing, and we're not planning on stopping that anytime soon. But with this tech channel, what it does is it's also a very seasonal thing, especially in Canada. Mountain biking is super seasonal. It's just summertime, unless you go travel somewhere, which is a little difficult right now. But on the tech side of things, so like iPhones and TVs and iMacs, all that kind of stuff, like just tech, consumer electronics, a lot of those releases happen in the winter. And so we're able to really nicely sort of dovetail these two different seasons between Loam Ranger and the tech channel. And, in however many years from now, when I don't feel like flinging myself off of huge drops on camera anymore, which now I'm doing. Am I the bro now? Hold on a second. Am I the one that's... Wait a minute.
Hey, I got no problem with bros.
But, for a few years from now, when we want to start slowing down the Loam Ranger channel, this tech channel is going to be there. And now we'll, in a few years we can go to Whistler without filming and just go and ride with the kiddos and stuff like that. And so we're always just trying to move a little bit closer to that ideal. I don't know if that's the right word for it or not, but just a constant process.
Tell us what, for the listeners, just so that they know, what is this? You're just like embarking on this new adventure with this tech channel. What's it called, and what are you doing with it?
I like the format. Tell us about the format.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's a tech review channel. There's one thing, and this goes back to the same thing that I noticed starting the Loam Ranger channel, is that it seems like pretty much all the tech review channels on YouTube, it is a guy standing on the other side of a desk talking at you, telling you about some product or whatever, tells you about the product, those are his opinions, it's over. It's almost always a guy. It's almost always a guy in his mid-30s. It's almost always like it's like this one very specific person that does these tech reviews, and I am that guy, by the way, clearly. But the thing is, though, is that so my friend Degju and I, he is also in Canmore here. It's too bad he wasn't here to get on this podcast, but so him and I are So him and I are starting this channel together, and we have pretty polar opposite views on tech. He's a very much like a Samsung Android type person. I'm very Apple iOS kind of person, and we fight about it all the time. And so, I was planning on starting this tech channel anyways, but having his energy on there and him, arguing with me about how good the new iPhone 13 Pro is, I figured we needed to point a camera at that, because that sounds like good YouTube to me. Getting multiple perspectives, and of course, much to her chagrin, getting Beth in there.
I've already been on.
She's already been on the channel.
I was like, I'm not going to be a part of this one.
Or like this for the most simplest things, like if you were looking up the iPhone 13 versus the iPhone 13 Pro Max, for example, and it'll show like man hands holding the phone. And like, oh yeah, well that doesn't look too big. But then like if Beth holds the phone and you're a female viewer watching that, then you actually get to see like, whoa, that's a big phone.
Right.
Just all these little tiny perspective differences.
Or just a person with smaller hands.
So we've been putting out some videos. We've got a GoPro Hero 10 review that just came out. I just put out an Apple iPhone 13 review. When the Samsung stuff and the Google stuff starts coming out, Degju's taken over, and he's going to be the main presenter for those. And so, it's just about, again, being creative, having fun with cameras and audio, because that's very much my thing, getting to help people out. The tech review channel, I have hard times with it sometimes, because I'm like, am I just like pushing all of this consumer electronic stuff? Like, I don't want to be part of that machine. But what the channel is supposed to be is to help people to not spend their money where they shouldn't spend it. So like, for example, the iPhone 13 review video is "Don't buy this phone." Like, that's the title of it. So it's like using my own process of creating things and using the phones in professional uses too, and doing all of that to show people what's worth their time and what's worth their money and what isn't, in my opinion anyway. And Degju's opinion, of course. Right. You're not Degju, but if Degju was here, I just pointed at Beth. We'll pretend you're Degju. So it's been really fun. We're doubling up. Right now we have two things going on. We have Loam Ranger and Run the Jewels. And so we're super, super slammed. It's really, really busy right now. And that's not me bragging. I have this thing. I read this book called Do Nothing. Who's it by? It's by Celeste Headley, and it really hit home. Like, people always brag about how busy they are, but I don't think people should brag about that at all. No. She says that in the book. Yeah. It's not a good thing to be super busy all the time. You want to be as least busy as possible.
I don't know. I just want to like enjoy my life.
Yeah. So I say that we're super busy, but it's not forever. Right. It's crazy right now, but there's an endpoint to it.
You're building something.
Yeah, and so we're building something from the start, and there's always more work involved at the beginning, as you guys know full well.
Absolutely. We're right there with you guys.
But it's
pay to play.
But yeah, the goal is to streamline things and to be able to have that nice balance, whatever that might be in the future, of just doing the right amount of work that we feel like doing and being creative while we do it.
Well, it's funny, Ryan, like when you said that balance thing, I think you're doing that. I mean, when you talked about, I'm the kind of guy, I live in the moment and I think about today, whatever. And then here you are planning for a new career when you how many years down the road do you want to stop mountain biking for a career, right? And it's like, so I think that maybe you know who you are in your desire to live in that moment, but you're also, maybe you guys are wise enough to know that future's out there and you want to prep for that as well. And I think that's, there's some wisdom in that too. So good job.
Well, thanks.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
So anyway, Heather, we're kind of running out of time here, but Heather wants to end all of our podcasts in the same way. So
I'm gonna ask you a question.
We're gonna sing together.
Yeah, that's right.
We are gonna sing a song. No. I'd like to ask you a question. You can answer it as light or as deep as you want. But Ryan and Beth, what is bringing you joy these days?
What is bringing? Well, I'll start.
Go for it.
It is getting up every day and looking out our little bay window and seeing the Three Sisters mountain range with the sunrise on them every day. Doesn't matter what day it is, every single day. Doesn't matter how cruddy I feel when I wake up or whatever. I look out the window and I go, holy crap, look at that. And so that's been a really, really amazing thing. It's been 2 years now, and every single day I do it. It's not like a checklist thing that I do. I just have to go and do it. I have to go and look at these mountains. And so that's been bringing me joy every day.
That's
That's your checklist.
Yeah. And another thing is lately, I mean, it's been for a while, but just having the boys come in and be really interested in what I'm doing and what we're doing, and asking questions and like being pumped about it, whatever it is, whether that's mountain biking or trying to hit this jump line or this new piece of tech that just came in that we're reviewing. It's really cool to see them be a part of it in any way, and them having fun with it. And yeah, be like what you guys said, being able to experience what we do and understand that we're trying to do something a little different here.
Yeah. For me, I've just been super happy that it's cool enough to bake again. That's one of the things that brings me joy.
You are such a good
I like
baker.
that too.
yeah, that's just bringing Ryan joy too.
Yeah, I'm like actually happy that it's fall just because we're getting some cooler weather. But yeah, that and just people being able to start to interact again with like pandemic stuff. Well, I don't even want to say it's wrapping up, but like, I don't know, our kids are going out and playing outside with their friends again, and that just makes me so happy because my house is a little quieter sometimes and because they're having fun. So yeah.
Right on. Well, hey guys, thank you. It's fun to see you again, even in a different context like this. Thanks for taking the time to do this with us. We hope to come and see you in person again someday soon.
Yeah,
And,
you guys are so inspiring to Kevin and I.
Yep.
You've honestly been one of those people that in this journey of, hey, are we going to do this? Are we going to jump in both feet? We've leaned in going, Ryan and Beth did it. They followed their heart. They made a career and a life for themselves that just is so you guys. And so thanks for being an example to Kevin and I.
Yeah, we appreciate it. Absolutely.
Oh, thanks for that.
Thanks,
That's really cool to hear. It's been, on the flip side of it, watching you guys dive in, and we've seen it right from the very beginning and having those like initial conversations with you too, just like thinking like, should we do this? So it's been great to see as well. Cool. So,
Yeah, it's been really fun to watch.
Yeah.
There we go. Well, hey guys, thanks for this. We'll see you again soon.
Thank you for having us on.
You bet.
Yeah, we really appreciate it.
You bet.
Thanks for listening to that episode with Ryan and Beth. I hope you really enjoyed kind of just the backstory there from our conversations of what it was like for them to get into YouTube, to even some of our conversations surrounding how to navigate family and incorporate family within. Because I know that for Kevin and I, with what we're doing, home business at home, being on Instagram and stuff like that, those are things that we're talking about and listening for wisdom, like heading forward as our own family. So now that you heard more from Ryan and Beth, you need to go watch a YouTube mountain bike video. So head on over to the Loam Ranger and the Loam, LOAM, or the Loam Ranger at Instagram, as well as their new tech channel.
And the new tech channel, which also I think we have to spell, the Run the Jewels, which is JOULES. Yeah, YouTube tech reviews. I think it's a fun take on it. So check that out. And thanks for them, and thanks for you guys for watching.